We're here with Justin Schmick from the Schmick Freeman Insurance Agency, coming at you from Omro, Wisconsin, Main Street. Thanks, Justin, for being here with us.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely.
Justin, I wanted to start out with just a little background about you. What led you to this industry? I know most people don't go to school and dream of being in insurance. So, how did you get here?
Yeah, when I was probably 8, I sat down at my play school desk and I wrote a few auto insurance policies for my family and friends. And for me, it just stuck. It was very interesting. The world of insurance is so fun.
Yeah, it sounds that way.
Yeah. No.
So your parents just thought you were an insurance phenom?
Yeah, right away. Yeah, I have been from the beginning. I've done a lot of jobs, from selling used cars to screwing nuts and bolts together in a factory, and nothing really stuck for me. I didn't really love any of the stuff I was doing. And when I was kind of looking around, and I talked to a few different people. I talked to a real estate agent like you guys. I talked to somebody from like a financial planner. Those jobs didn't quite make too much sense to me. Didn't click. And then I talked to an insurance agent that was a friend of mine, and I walked through the way that insurance works and how you can build an agency and all that kind of stuff, and it just clicked for me. So
Okay.
that was pretty much it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, from that and going into insurance a little bit. So, I pay insurance every month. I pay money in,
Yeah.
and I don't really have any claims.
Good. Then you should be with my agency.
But I think as a person who maybe doesn't understand insurance, I pay money in every month. I don't pay claims. I mean, shouldn't I get a little bit of money back, or how does that work?
Well, insurance, it doesn't really work that way. So what you're doing is you're transferring the risk, right? The risk of you having to purchase a brand new vehicle, you're transferring that risk to an insurance company. So essentially you're taking out a loan that may or may not pay out, right? So you pay in your monthly payments or your yearly payments, and yeah, great. If nothing bad happens, you don't have any accidents, your rates maybe don't go up a whole lot. They'll usually typically go up a little bit because insurance is kind of everybody, right? So everybody is in this insurance company, and if 30% of them run into another vehicle this year, 100% of them have to pay a little bit more for insurance. This is just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. But it's a transfer of risk. So you can think of it as, yeah, I've been paying on this and I'm not seeing anything back. But if you think about it, let's say, a car right now is what, 30, 40 grand for a new car. So if you're paying $100 a month, how long would it take for you to not have a return on investment with that vehicle if it was totally lost?
Right. I mean, a significant.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, okay, that makes total sense.
So are there things that we can do to help save money on insurance that we just kind of don't know about, that tips and tricks on?
Yeah, don't run into other vehicles. That would be my first main tip for anybody out there that's
What
watching.
about buildings?
Don't run into buildings either.
Okay.
No. The tips and tricks, the things that'll happen, especially on the auto side of insurance, if we're not talking about the home, but if we're talking about the auto side, the only real ways to bring your rates down is to diminish the coverage that you have now, and I never recommend doing that. More liability coverage is always better because things are costing more all the time. People are very sue happy, and there's a lot of risk involved in driving a vehicle these days. So keep it clean, keep a clean driving record, and then I would say shop your insurance every 5 years or so. If you've got an independent agent, just call them and say, hey, it's been a little bit. Can you run me through your companies? If you're with a captive agency like State Farm or an American Family or anything like that, shop that around outside of there every 5 or so years, because there's always discounts for new companies. Some agencies and companies will give you discounts for coming from specific companies over to them because they're direct rivals. About every 5 years, I just shop it around.
Okay. What about around the home? Are there things you could do around your house that could help save money on homeowners insurance?
Yeah, there's home updates that'll help. So sometimes if you have a newer roof, or if your roof is in rough shape now and you put a new roof on, that could end up bringing your rates down a little bit. On the homeowner side, I would recommend raising your deductible. If you have a deductible that's under $1,000, I would raise that. That'll bring the price down a little bit, and I don't recommend making any claims at that 500 or 1,000 level at this point in this market of insurance right now.
Okay. So one thing that we've been seeing a lot in the real estate world is our buyers are having problems getting homeowners insurance for the new houses that they're purchasing because the roof is too old.
Yeah.
Is there like a workaround for that, or is there like an add-on insurance that you could purchase, or is it just flat out you can't get homeowners insurance if you're buying a place with an older roof?
No, I think you can get homeowners insurance. It's just it may not be as good as you would if you had a newer roof. A lot of companies are going to a rate schedule for roofs. So that's after like the first 5 years, you have guaranteed 100% replacement cost. After that, it's an actual cash value scale. As the roof gets older, you get less for it. So, some of the companies I have an option where we put you on an actual cash value roof policy, which you're not going to get a big payout if something goes on with your roof. You're going to have to fix it. But you can, as long as it's not curling or in bad shape, you can still get home insurance that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on that note, with the roofs, is there any difference with steel roof versus an asphalt shingle type?
Price wise, it depends on the company.
Sure.
And on how they rate them. But one of the things I do advise everybody on steel roofs is a lot of companies will not repair cosmetic damage to a steel roof. So if we get a hailstorm and there's a bunch of dents in it, that's not going to get repaired unless there's a hole in it somewhere. It won't be fixed. So that's something to remember when you are working with a metal roof. I mean, it's great because it lasts for a long time, much
Right.
longer than a regular roof does. You don't have to worry about peeling and any of that kind of stuff. But the cosmetic damage may not get taken care of, so you may have a pretty denty roof by the end of it.
So are those still on the depreciation schedule, like the asphalt shingles?
Those will not be, no.
Okay.
Well, it depends on the company. But
Okay.
for the companies that I'm writing with, no.
Okay. Good.
Okay. You had mentioned discounts and things like that earlier, and something I feel like I see more and more of on commercials and online are discounts for how I drive, plugging something into my car,
Yeah.
or letting Big Brother into my cell phone to know exactly, how fast I'm moving when. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with it. What's your take on these type of programs?
Yeah, we have companies that have that. My main thing would be that if there's any company that will change your rates based on your driving behavior, I'd probably stay away from it because you never know, if you're going to have a bad day out there or
Sure.
not. But there are companies too that'll just give you, like, if your driving behavior is good, they'll give you. I've got a company that gives you $5 twice a month if you are just being a good driver, and you can cash it in for gift cards.
Okay.
If you can find something like that. And as far as the Big Brother thing, I mean, if you've got a smartphone, you're tracked anyways. So
Right.
if you get a chance to save some money or make some extra money off it, you might as well. 'Cause
Okay.
they know where you are. If they want to find you, they're going to find you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was always concerned about that. Like,
I get it a lot. I bring it up to everybody that gets auto insurance with me because I like it. I have it on 2 different phones, so I use it to pay for my Christmas presents at the end of the year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
It's awesome. But it's mostly standoffish, and people they're nervous about having them watch. And it's if you have an iPhone or an Android or any kind of smartphone, you can be tracked anyways. So
okay.
yeah, make some money.
I've
Yeah.
just accepted it at this point.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of where we are. Yeah,
That's true. Big
Whatever.
Brother's watching, and I mean, even if you don't have a device that has like GPS, there's cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
Even driving here today, you're probably on 400 different cameras.
Right.
Just getting here.
Yep.
So
Before you were in insurance, I know you had a few other things that you did.
Yeah.
Was there, looking back, is there something that you did that now being an insurance agent, you're like, oh, that was bad
So like for a job or just like in my life?
in your life?
Oh yeah. I would say probably taking full coverage off of vehicles.
Okay.
Once I had them paid off at the bank, I'd take the full coverage off. That's not always the best idea.
I feel like a lot of people do that.
Yeah, and that's okay if you've got a 15-year-old car or something like that. But if you get it paid off early, and you're like, all right, cool, I can bring my insurance down. Well, if a deer hits you and totals your car, you got to buy another car now because you don't have comp and collision on it. So I'd say insurance wise, that's the only one I'm willing to admit on camera.
Well, then in that vein, what is one of those things that a customer has told you that you just kind of went, whoa, I don't want to know that, or I shouldn't know that. One of those crazy experiences you've had.
Yeah, I did. I have one customer that says every time I talk to her that she, I don't remember what she calls her car, but it's something about driving on curbs because she can't not drive up on the curb when she's turning or parking, and so that's great. It's great to know more about you, but that's not. We don't have to have that conversation. Yeah. Or I had one that was gonna park here, to come into the office and just whipped a big old U-turn on Main Street, and I was like, can you not do that right in front of the office, like right directly in front? So yeah.
Did they squeal the tires too?
No, thank goodness. Yeah.
Oh, so when you're looking at insuring a new client and they come on, you obviously want to know, like, are they insurable?
Mm-hmm.
Do they drive like Patty or not?
Hey.
Right. They honk their horn randomly at people.
Right.
Yeah. They squeal their tires everywhere.
So what kind of things do you guys do when you're looking into, can I insure somebody? What do you have to do to do that?
Yeah, it's a pretty simple process, and most insurance companies have a set system. You type the information in, it bounces off a satellite in outer space, comes back to you, tells you if you can have insurance or not. That's the broad strokes there. But we run the driving record. A lot of companies run your credit, just a soft pull of your credit, and they base a lot of rates on those two main factors.
Okay.
Another thing that happens a lot is when you move to like a new zip code or a new city, your rates will fluctuate there too. So a lot of rates are based on zip codes and how many accidents there are in those zip codes and how many claims they have in that area. So everything gets piled in there, and they figure out how much of a risk you are as a driver, and then they put a rate out based on what they think that risk is.
Okay. Perfect. So based on that is going to be what my premium amount is going to be.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And accidents and claims are going about 5 years back now for every company. It used to be 3 years for certain things, and for the most part, they're looking at a 5-year total. So if you're outside of the 5 years and you don't have any accidents, you're in good shape.
Okay.
If you have a couple in this climate in Wisconsin right now, you're going to pay a little bit more for insurance.
Okay. So speaking of claims, my mom is a huge jewelry buff. She's got jewelry all over the place.
And then what's her address?
Yeah, no kidding. Right. Safe deposit box. No, I'm just kidding. But, I know that she's been told over the years, putting her jewelry, insuring certain high value items on her homeowner's insurance policy has been a good idea.
Yeah.
I've also heard conflicting things other places. So what would you recommend to somebody who maybe has that wedding ring or something too that they're looking to insure? How would you look at them to do that?
Yeah, you can put it on your home policy. You can schedule it, and then it's there for, if you lose it or it mistakenly disappears, then it's covered, and that's great. But then you have a home claim if you have to claim it, right? So, and that stinks, especially again in this climate.
What does that mean, though, if I have a home claim?
So the more claims you have, the more expensive your home insurance is going to be. Home insurance was established to protect a family in a total catastrophe where you would normally lose all your money and go bankrupt.
Okay.
You've got this safeguard, this transfer of large risk. So then when you start making the smaller claims, the rates are going to go up on your home insurance because Uncle Insurance is going to get his money at the end of the day. That's just kind of how it works. It's a for-profit business.
Right.
So they need to make money. And so the more times you have claims, the higher your risk level is. So if you can mitigate that in other ways, you're in good shape. One of the things that I recommend on the jewelry side is to get a hold of a company called Jewelers Mutual.
Okay.
They do specifically jewelry insurance. The rates are really reasonable, and they know exactly what they're doing because that's what they specialize in.
Okay.
So a lot of times, if you've got a lot of high-end stuff, I'll recommend that we put your stuff in Jewelers Mutual, and keep that separate from your homeowner's insurance.
So that way, if I lose my jewelry, I'm not having a claim against my homeowner's insurance policy.
Right. I think for the most part, it's a better price point with Jewelers Mutual, and again, better specialized coverage in that specific thing.
Well, and I feel like a lot of the jewelry stores around the area work with them too.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
So
Yep.
they had like a good relationship back and forth, so they knew they could trust each other.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
it was good.
Well, that's good to know.
Here's one.
Okay.
Something that happens in our area sometimes. Flooding. Does homeowners insurance cover flooding?
No. Yes and no. Flooding is not typically covered under your home insurance policy. You need a separate flood policy.
Flood policy.
That includes like water coming in through the windows or the walls in the basement. That's seepage. Seepage is typically not covered.
Okay.
Some companies, however, do have home insurance policies that you can put flood coverage in. So I've got a company that I can add flood coverage and seepage coverage to the policy. So if that happens, it is
Okay.
covered. But if you are in a floodplain, FEMA's gonna require that you
The flood
get a flood
insurance.
policy.
Yep.
That flood on adding that flood on the homeowner's insurance does not cut it for FEMA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what about, I know we've had this in the past too, when there's been some major flooding in our area, some of the sewers have backed up into the basements.
Yep. Sewer backup coverage is covered.
It is.
Well, if you have it on your policy, right? It's an
Okay.
elected coverage, but you do want to. I would recommend, no matter what you have in your basement, you get at least $5,000 in sewer backup coverage. And to be honest with you, 10,000 is probably the better.
I was gonna say, that's not gonna cover
Bottom.
your furnace and water
No.
heater and all that good stuff.
No,
Okay.
or the cost of a company to come in and pump it out.
Sure.
So, but make sure you have some kind of water backup coverage or sewer backup coverage on your home policy.
Okay. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, and
It's a shitty situation.
and for the price that it's probably $100 a month or $100 a year.
Oh.
If you think about a $10,000 loss, you're paying $100 a year. If you had to get a $10,000 loan to fix that, how much would you be paying monthly
Right.
instead of $100 a year? So
If
that's
you
the
can even
transfer
get a
of risk
loan.
part. If you could even get a loan for it, but that's the transfer of risk part. I think that people kind of overlook when you're looking at home insurance. Is if you look at the return on investment, like how long would I have to pay this extra $100 a year before I didn't get a return on investment if the water backed up?
Right. So, from insurability standpoint, is there a certain foundation that you guys look at that is, better or worse as far as, what my premiums are going to look like? Is a Fieldstone foundation a no-no, or?
I mean, I haven't run into a lot of Fieldstone foundations or anything like that. Every independent agency is going to find a spot for it no matter what. Foundation wise, I don't see a whole lot of issues, a lot of no-nos that come up. We don't get a lot of trouble. There's nothing is really better than others as far as price or anything like that goes.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there's some differences, but not anything that's
Pretty negligible
over
otherwise?
the top crazy. Yeah.
Okay. So, as far as insurance, one of the things that I know I'm guilty of is I escrow my homeowner's insurance. It's just built into my mortgage payment, and it's kind of a set it and forget it kind of thing. And I'm guilty. I let it sit for, it's probably been about 8 years. Finally had made some calls and found out that I have all these different coverages that I didn't know I had, things I didn't really know I needed. And I thought about it over the years, but it was just kind of like, oh, this is going to be a hassle to switch. From a customer perspective, if I'm looking to shop around and change, what do I really have to do to make that change and make it so the bank knows that this is my new homeowner's insurance provider?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people get nervous about bringing us their current deck pages and their documentation because I'm sure that there's been a bunch of skeezy insurance people that have based it on price and tried to like cut things so that they could get the business.
Sure.
But that's one of the best things that we can have, one of the best pieces that we can have to make sure that we're building at least an apples to apples comparison to what you have now.
Okay.
For me, especially on the home side, I find a lot of things that when I compared apples to apples, that I would bump up
Okay.
on what they currently have. But maybe people aren't in the financial position to do that or to pay more, or they don't see the value in it, and that's okay. But I think bringing your policies to whoever you're going to is the best first step. So get your policies, get your date of birth, name, and driver's license. If you can start with just those things, they can start building
Okay.
a policy and a quote around all that information. And as far as the switching with the mortgagee, it is a pain in the butt. It really, I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's a pain in the ass. Okay. And banks, I don't know if you guys talk to a lot of banks, but I'm pretty sure that banks hire people that drop out of school at an early age.
That's actually, on the Indeed postings.
Yeah.
It's required, yeah.
Because
it's required.
honestly, I feel like I got to explain so much to banks that they just cannot. They've been doing things with insurance for years, and they cannot fathom what's happening. Yeah. And then I just had a call earlier that they wanted me to fax them something.
Oh.
It's not 1996, banks. There's no fax machines. Stop it. Anyway, sorry.
So now you have to use carrier pigeon.
Yeah. Good Lord. Fax it. Get in my time machine and I'll send you a fax. Anyways, but it is a kind of a difficult transition, but if you have the right agency, it can make it easier for you.
Okay.
Knowing ahead of time, like if you bring in those policy documents, if we know the mortgagee clause ahead of time, we can add it to the policy, and that company that we're writing it with, we'll send them a bill. And they'll send them all the information.
Okay.
So as long as we know that stuff ahead of time, but even if you don't, you'll get something in the mail that sounds really threatening. Like, you don't have insurance, you're going to have to pay for insurance. We faxed this to you too, but you didn't get it.
Of course, because no one has a fax machine. Yes.
But all you got to do, honestly, just screenshot that and send it to your insurance agent, and it'll have all the info that they need. They've got a bunch of websites now, like myinsuраnceinfo.com, that I can just go on as an agent and update all of their information.
Okay.
So you just got to send that stuff to your agent, and they should be able to take care of it. And if they don't, call me, because I will.
So if people are bringing you their declarations page and it's going over all their coverages, and you said that people are needing to bump things up or down, what's the most common thing that you see that people are underinsured in?
Oh yeah, I can give you two. So on the auto side, if they went online and they got Progressive insurance, I shouldn't just say Progressive. Companies like Progressive, not just Progressive, other ones as well. Any online company where you can go pick your liability limits. Mm-hmm. Well, the state minimum in Wisconsin is $25,000, $50,000 for any incident, which means if you cause an accident, each person's covered for up to $25,000 for medical bills and lost wages and things that they can sue you for.
That's
and then
definitely not enough.
No, and then it's $50,000 aggregate for the whole incident. And then everything else you're on the hook for. Everything else, they're coming after you. So I see a lot of that.
Okay.
A lot of underinsured because that's the cheapest, right? Let's get the cheapest one. That's what we got to do. I would recommend that your bottom level be 100, 300. I would always say bump that up to 100, 300 at least. We in this agency will not write insurance under 100, 300. And that's mainly a cover our butt. Like, we care about you not getting sued by a lot, but
right.
I also don't want to have an E&O claim because I recommended that you get the lowest possible insurance coverage, and now you're getting sued for $200,000, and you're up the creek without a paddle.
So is that where like an umbrella policy would help?
Yes, but you cannot get an umbrella policy if you have state minimums. Companies won't write you an umbrella policy at state minimums because the risk is too high that the umbrella is going to have to get used.
Okay.
So the umbrella policy comes in over the top of your highest liability limits on your auto and your home. So let's say you have the 100, 300 coverage and you cause an accident, multiple vehicles, multiple people, the bill is $600,000, right? Without an umbrella, you're on the hook for the extra $300,000. Mm-hmm. With the umbrella, that's covered. Because it's, you technically, if you have 100, 300, you have 1.3 million in liability coverage because you have that umbrella over the top.
Okay.
So that's where that comes in. And the higher that you go with your liability limits, typically the lower the cost of the umbrella, because there's
sure.
less of a risk
Less
that
risk.
the umbrella is going to be used in
Okay.
that scenario. So underinsuring themselves on their auto policy is one of the main things I see.
Okay.
And I see that come through all the time, and they always get lectured responses from me about how you're a big boy, you wear big boy pants, you get your big boy insurance now. Some people like that, some people don't. I don't know.
Right. Well, and I imagine that's got to be frustrating when, there's clients you're really looking out for their best interest, and they're really just seeing what's my monthly payment, what's
Yeah.
my semi-annual payment going to be, my annual
Yeah,
payment.
it's not frustrating. It's how it is. It's how we are. Like, everybody right now is struggling, right?
Yes.
Everybody's trying to figure out where they can cut and what they can do. This just isn't one of those things I would recommend cutting if you don't have to.
Right.
Because in the off chance, which is actually a fairly high chance that an incident does happen,
Yep.
you're covered in this scenario. I mean, I can tell you it's a high chance because of the way the rates are going up in Wisconsin right now. Like, insurance companies are losing money in this state
Okay.
year after year. So that's why you're seeing these rate jumps. Anyways, to answer your question too, on the home side of things, homeowners liability insurance is the most underappreciated and underrated coverage, I think, in insurance altogether.
Okay.
So homeowners liability coverage, everybody thinks that, oh, it's somebody who walks up your steps and they twist their ankle and hurt themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, yes, it does cover that. It will cover that. But it covers all the other random things in life that you could get like sued for that you are liable for. As long as you're not negligent. If you're negligent, you're screwed.
Right.
But my example I like to tell everybody, I like to golf, but I'm terrible. Right? So if I slice it off the first tee and it goes in some mansion's window and breaks his Fabergé egg or whatever's in mansion,
Sure.
the golf course doesn't pay for that. That person's homeowners doesn't pay for it. My homeowner's liability would cover that because it's
Wow.
my responsibility. But that's if they can catch me. If they figure out it's me, then it is. But another really good one that actually this happened to me. My daughter, when she was 3, was at my grandma's house. Grandma was babysitting, and Penny sat down on Grandma's lap because Grandma was going to read her book. Penny put her head back to listen to the book and knocked out all Grandma's front teeth. Grandma's retired. Her dental is non-existent. There's no dental insurance. So my homeowner's liability covered that because Penny is my responsibility wherever she is.
Wow.
Yep.
So if you have kids and your homeowner's liability insurance is $300,000, bump it to $1 million. The difference and I can only speak for my companies, but the difference in my company is for $300,000 to $1 million in coverage is like $3 a year.
Oh, wow. Why
So,
not?
yeah, why not? Why not bump it up?
Yeah.
So I see a lot of companies will write that. A lot of agents will write it at 300 or 500,000, and that's fine. That's some coverage. But if you can make it $1 million, make it $1 million. If you're making $1 million for $20 a year, do it. Get that extra coverage because it covers all that random stuff.
Okay. So if we take one thing away today, we're bumping up that coverage. What is it called? We're bumping it up to $1 million.
Homeowners liability insurance, bump it to $1 million.
If you have kids, especially.
Yeah, if you have kids, they're walking, talking liabilities.
That's why I don't have them.
Yeah, smart.
So, speaking of which, I have dogs. Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. We all know.
Yeah, everybody knows.
I have one too. He's sleeping over there.
Yeah, he's really cute.
Yeah, he's tough.
Are there dog breeds that people need to
Yes.
watch out for
Yeah.
with their homeowners insurance?
Yeah, there are, and every company's different. So I can't. Again, I say that a lot, but I don't want anybody because somebody's going to say, "Oh, not this company."
Sure.
But yeah, there are some dog breeds I've seen where German Shepherds are one. Any kind of pit bull or Rottweiler. There's a couple different. I think like a Mastiff breed or something like that. That's been known to attack people or bite or whatever. And that's not based on hearsay, right? This is based on, like, especially insurance actuaries are the nerdiest bunch of people.
Now, dog people, we're dog people too.
And
okay?
I love pit
Yeah.
bulls.
We love dog people.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just
And
for
I've met a
you-
lot of nice pit bulls, but what I'm saying is this is based on data. Okay, this is the numbers that say that this happens more often than not.
Okay.
Right? Whether that's good or bad, or it's all about the upbringing of the dog, or
Sure.
any of that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Any dog could bite somebody at any point. These are just the ones that have consistently been claims.
Prove it. It's
Yeah.
proven. They're,
Yep.
I've been attacked by more little dogs than big dogs.
Yeah.
It's just that they don't cause as much
They don't
damage.
cause as much damage. Yeah, you won't see too many little dogs on that list.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can punt those.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I get my new German Shepherd puppy, and I need to call you. How's that gonna affect my insurance?
I can't tell you exactly how the rate would be affected. If it is a dog breed that's not allowed, I'd have to find you a new company.
Got it.
Because some companies upcharge for it. Some say, nope, if you've got this dog, we're not writing your policy.
Okay.
So what happens if I don't tell you that I got a puppy and you find out?
Well, I would have to disclose that to my whatever carrier.
Would I get like a fine for that?
A
for not
fine?
disclosing
No, but you might get dropped and you might get back charged for the increase from when you got the dog.
Okay.
So like if it's been a year and then somehow they find out,
Mm-hmm.
they might say, well, you got it a year ago, here's what the rate would have been. So you're going to give us this lump sum of what the rate would have been.
To stay in
to,
good standing.
Yep, to stay in good standing.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So one thing that we've been noticing, I think everyone has been noticing, that suddenly there's been quite a hike in all the homeowners insurance rates around the area. Is that something that's happening just here by us locally, or is it nationwide? And can you kind of touch on that? Like, why is that happening?
Yeah, it's because I recently got into insurance, so I need to make more money. So all the companies charge more, so they can pay me more.
Okay.
Yeah, no. There's a couple factors that are making those things happen, right? For the larger companies, you'll see that are nationwide. Everybody shares in the cost of fires in California or hurricanes in Florida if their company also writes in that state. So that's part of it. But the real things that are happening here in the state of Wisconsin is over the last few years, one, the frequency of claims has gone up significantly. We've had a lot more claim-worthy storms, and so we've had to replace it. And you're seeing a lot of things like we talked about earlier with roof damage, right? Mm-hmm. And new roofs and the age of a roof, and that's why companies are starting to get a lot more picky about roofs because we've had a significant uptick in claims on roofs. So the large claim percentage that's been happening lately, coupled with the drastic increase on the price per square foot to rebuild a home.
Oh, sure.
That's a huge factor in it because it went from $100 a square foot to like $250 a square foot. So when a 1,500 square foot house was normally you'd have your policy for $150,000, and you're like, a little bit of an inflation guard here, an extra $20,000 if we need it. Great, you're set. Mm-hmm. Well, now in the matter of that was probably 2021 maybe that started happening. In the matter of a few months, that dwelling coverage number that was 150 to replace the home, the cost of that doubled.
Oh, wow.
So now you have an insurance policy that covers your house for $150,000 to rebuild, but it's going to cost $300,000 to rebuild it. And so insurance companies had to make a decision: do we underinsure everybody and tick up slowly over a multiple years and just hope a bunch of stuff doesn't happen, or do we just make a couple big drastic increases, rip the Band-Aid off, and say, listen, this is what's happening. So. That's what most insurance companies did. So you see a lot of people shopping. They're calling right now in insurance, it's called a hard market, which means everybody is seeing rate increases and everybody's shopping. So everybody that was like, when you talk about like, I've let my escrow pay my home insurance for a really long time, and now people are starting to say, oh wait, that went up 50%. That's unheard of. Mm-hmm. Well, now everybody's shopping around, so it's getting a lot busier in the insurance market. But those are the things that are affecting the home insurance side of things the most. So the frequency of claims and the amount to rebuild a home have both increased over the last few years, and it's causing Uncle Insurance to lose money. And Uncle Insurance is not going to lose money, otherwise they got to pull out of the state. There's a large number of insurance providers in the state of Wisconsin that have just stopped writing home and auto insurance.
What are the big ones? Is there a big one that you can?
I think, what's the one that's out by Menasha? Is that Acuity?
I think
That's
so.
out by Sheboygan.
No, then what is the one out in Menasha?
Secura.
Secura. So Secura is one of them. They
Wow.
they are no longer writing
Interesting.
home and auto insurance.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's a couple other ones. I don't remember off the top of my head. And I'm probably not supposed to say that on
Okay.
camera, anyways.
No one will see this. It's okay.
Yeah, that's right. There's 4 people watching. But they've had to just completely halt because it's not profitable for them.
Wow.
So I know that some people are kind of concerned with the tariffs on the lumber coming in from Canada. Do you think that that is going to cause homeowners insurance to go up again because the price per square foot is probably going to go up again?
As the price per square foot goes up, I can't speculate on whether or not that's going to happen or not. I'm not an economist. I don't know anything about tariffs. But I will say if the price per square foot increases and dwelling values increase, home insurance will be going up. So whether or not that happens because of tariffs, I don't know. But if it does, then yes, homeowners insurance will be more expensive because they have to. They have to charge more. They have to increase the dwelling value because if you're not covered, they're going to get sued for even more than they're covering it for.
Okay.
And with that increase will come an increase in cost to the consumer.
So I can remember when we bought our first house and a pretty bad storm came through, a lot of hail, and it seemed like all of our neighbors were getting new roofs. And it was just kind of like an Oprah show. Like, you're getting a new roof, you're getting a new roof. Like, everybody got new roofs, and it was just completely 100% paid for. Do you think that that happening kind of caused what we're seeing today?
Yes. It's directly related to those kinds of claims. Yeah.
Okay.
Where a roofing company will come through and they tell everybody in the neighborhood that they need a new roof. Because why wouldn't you? If you're a roofing company,
Yeah.
if I was a salesman at a roofing company, I'd be like, yep, looks bad. You need a new one.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You should get one today.
Yep.
Call your insurance guy because insurance will pay for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's, the insurance companies did not anticipate necessarily that. I don't know for sure if they did or not, but this is just my opinion that they did not properly anticipate that kind of a thing could happen.
Yeah.
And so they were caught kind of with their pants down a little bit. And so that's
Yeah.
why you see rates going up because it's not profitable to write insurance in Wisconsin during that kind
Makes
of time.
sense.
Yeah.
We were kind of mad because we were like the only house in the entire neighborhood that didn't get a new roof.
But now you don't have a roof claim on your record.
Correct.
And one more thing, just
Yes.
talking about claims. This is one of the biggest things I tell people when they come and get quotes from me or decide to come over. Never ever call the company first for claims. If you have an agent that tells you that if you have a claim, you should call the company, no longer use that agent. Do not use that agent. Don't call the company. This is the same for home and for auto. I always recommend you call your agent first. What I would always advise people to do is make sure that the losses, like let's say it's a roof. There's water coming from the roof. Let's call a roofing company. Let's get them out there to mitigate, make sure that no more loss happens, get them to tarp it, and then get an estimate before we make a claim. Because as soon as you call the company, your main companies, and get to the claims department, a claim is filed. No matter what. Whether or not you said, never mind, I don't need it, or it was $100 million. It's filed on there. And now it's on your record, and now it's going to affect your rates. So
Got it.
always call your person first. If you don't have a person to call, like an actual agent, call me and I will be your agent. And honestly, you don't even have to. You don't have to even. I've had people call me in this last week that aren't here. They don't have insurance with me, but they wanted my advice on whether or not they should call and make a claim on their insurance. So, and I don't mind that. I don't mind answering those questions, but
Right.
always never call the company.
Okay.
That's
Not
good
right away.
advice.
Yeah.
So, question for you: if I'm that person and say I have that water damage, I call the company and say, I'm questioning this. I don't really want to make a claim. I don't think I want to make a claim, but just kind of questioning. I have this water that came through my roof, and I don't want to go ahead. They're going to still note that in my file, I imagine, somewhere.
You still have a claim number that
I
will be
still have a claim.
generated.
Now, when I go to sell my home and that new buyer is looking at getting homeowners insurance, would there be a possibility that non-claim is going to show up anywhere? Would they be notified about that?
Yeah, well, on the insurance side, from time to time, I will have where somebody's buying a new house and there has been a claim at that house, at that address, and it'll pop up in the system and say, well, they've got claims. Well,
Okay.
it wasn't these people, it was
The people
those people
before.
before. But typically, we don't see it very often. Like, it
Okay.
doesn't really come through the system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just like thinking about that. Well, could that really affect the insurability of the house if I were to have called and inquired about my
Yeah.
potential roof leak?
Well, it does affect your insurability going forward though as well, right?
Okay.
You got to go get a different house. Now that claim's going to pop up. So now you have a claims history. You have a history of calling that claims number, and they don't really want you to do that.
Sure.
So that means you're just that much more risky
Yep.
for the company.
Okay.
So they'll charge you more.
So, do you guys ever look up the claims history on a house? So, like, let's say I'm buying a house and you pull it up to do the insurance and you notice that there's one claim that consistently comes through, like,
A fire claim.
yeah.
And I can go as a buyer like, whoa, I had no idea there was a fire here.
Yeah. I don't see that a lot. Like I said, it's kind of a randomly it'll pop up from time to time, but for the
Okay.
most part, when we're putting your information in, it's mostly your claims history that's going to come through on our end.
I was just thinking, like, of a house that sits on, like, a busy intersection and it's close to a corner and it's been hit by a car, like, 4 different times.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yep.
that's a claims history on the house, but you don't really
Right.
notice that.
But at the most part, as long as the person that hit the house was located,
And covered.
it wouldn't be their homeowners. Wouldn't
Okay.
be a claim wouldn't come up there anyways. It'd
Got
be
it.
covered under their auto insurance.
Or what if they have huge trees all over their yard and branches keep falling on the roof?
Yeah, I mean, that could be something that shows up, but it's mostly going to show up like if that was your house and you were selling it, it would show up in your claims history when we go to run your new house.
Okay.
So for the most part, we won't see it.
Okay. So, last insurance question.
Okay.
If insurance had a mascot, what would it be?
I think it would be me. I think I would be the insurance mascot.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be this guy right there. No, I don't. Oh man, you thinking like an animal mascot?
Yeah.
Ooh. For whatever reason, an aardvark is coming into my head, and I don't know why.
Because they have a tough shell.
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, an insurance aardvark.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
like it.
Yep.
I like it.
Okay.
So we've talked about insurance. Now
And everybody's tuned out.
the juicy
Yeah.
stuff, what everybody's been waiting for.
Okay.
So you have come to you've accumulated quite a social media following.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say it's been overnight. You've been on social media quite a bit.
Yeah.
What have you found in your journey so far to be the thing that surprises you the most about being so public with social media?
I think the thing that surprises me the most, and for some reason it still surprises me, is what people will type on the internet. I can't fathom thinking such like a mean or derogative thing and then typing it out and hitting send and thinking that there's going to be some kind of positive
That it's okay to do
response
that.
for that, or that's okay.
The keyboard warriors.
Yeah, and I mean, I always say it's okay to think it. Like, right?
Sure.
We all think things, and it's
Yep.
totally fine.
Yep.
Totally fine to think it. Like, I hate that guy. His beard is stupid. Whatever. You know,
Right.
well, he's kind of fat. Yeah, okay. That's okay to think that, right? And honestly, some of the fat stuff you can still type out because it helps motivate me to go to the gym. But just to think it and then take the time you have to click into the video, you have to go to comments, and you have to type this thing out and then hit send, knowing that it's going. I don't think a lot of people realize that the internet is there forever. It goes
Right.
out into the universe and it's there. Like I did that one. That just I can't get past it. And some of the derogatory things that people say about my counterpart
Sure.
are that has surprised me. I didn't really realize.
So, do you ever, like, block those people?
Yes,
Or?
I do every time now. I didn't used to, but I've started to. So if anybody says anything kind of derogatory about Steph, I block them right away.
I'm surprised with well, like I know Facebook specifically, with it not really being anonymous. You know, I'm surprised what people are willing to attach their name to. You know, in the public forum.
The best ones are the derogatory things about what they want to do to Steph. That I click on their Facebook profile and it's a picture of them and their wife married, and then I tag them and tag their wife in the response and say, "Hey Diane, maybe get Steve off the internet today."
Steve's on the internet again. Oh no.
Have you ever had one respond?
They get pretty upset. They usually just block me right away. Sometimes I'll get messages that tell me that I'm you're an a-hole and an idiot, but it's all stuff I know already, so it doesn't really do any good. Yeah.
So that's like one of the bad things. And you've built up, obviously it wasn't just overnight.
Right.
What's one thing that you would say to people who maybe are looking to grow their social media? What's one thing that you recommend if they had to do one thing that you see most people aren't doing?
Yeah, I would say be consistent. Like a lot of times, you'll post something and it won't get much traction, and people will say, "Well, nobody liked that." Well, that's not necessarily true. You know, maybe it didn't hit the algorithm right. Maybe it didn't. You know, you haven't gone out to enough people. You didn't get enough reactions on this one. But if you post another one, you know, if you consistently post, your reactions and your engagement's going to go up. So if you consistently post things and you're just being unapologetically, unequivocally yourself, I think you'll find your people that are interested in what you're talking about.
Okay.
So how long have you been posting consistently, would you say?
Oh God, it's been a long time. 4 years.
Okay. So how long do you think it took to really start taking off
Probably about a year, at least.
of consistent posting?
Of consistent posting, and it was just
Okay.
a couple of the jokes that I posted hit, and then it just kind of, and then the main growth after that first hit has been just being consistent. There's peaks and valleys all the time. Like I'll have one that'll get 2 million views, and then the next few weeks that I get them, they won't get over 10,000. And it'll just, there's peaks and valleys, but just if you're staying consistent and just keep doing it, keep fighting through it, that's the best way to grow.
Have you found certain days or certain times of days are better?
You know, the analytics will tell you, like, you know, your people are watching Mondays at 8 p.m. and da-da-da-da. But honestly, I've tried to go and post at that time to see if there's much of a difference.
Yeah.
And it's not that
Well,
much of a difference.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but lately when I've been scrolling through Facebook, I see some posts from like 5 or 6 days ago.
Yeah.
Common.
Like,
All the time
yeah.
I see it.
Yeah.
Which means I'm probably on Facebook too much now.
Probably it's run out of stuff to show me.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably have reached the end. Here's some
Yeah.
stuff you saw already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just maybe you forgot about it
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
now.
Here's your post. Remember this one?
Yeah.
I get that too.
So what's the first time when you're on this journey that you went, whoa, like something blew up? Like what was that first big one for
Yeah.
you that you remember?
I remember the big one, but when I said whoa, like I was doing it. I was mainly putting them on TikTok, right?
Yep.
And I would copy them on TikTok, and I saw that Facebook had Reels, so I was like, throw them on there too. And I paid zero attention to it, like nothing. I just reposted them on there, and then I got an email from Facebook that said, "Hey, would you like to be in the creator fund?" I was like, "For what? Like,
Right.
What am I creating?" I had no idea that it did anything, and I looked, and there was 34,000 people, like that are
Wow.
following. And I was like,
Wow.
oh shit, this is where people are looking for it. So I started being more consistent and obvious about posting my stuff on Facebook first, and I would edit it in Facebook and everything, and that's kind of when it took off. So the big whoa for me was just realizing, well, holy shit, people are 34,000. And then once I started like shifting and focusing on where the people that want to see my content were watching it from, it just kept growing.
Have you noticed, so you do your editing in Facebook?
Yeah.
Have you ever used a different app for editing?
Yes. Yeah, I've used other.
Have you
Other apps.
noticed a difference in how well those perform versus the ones you edit in Facebook?
No, not really. I haven't seen a huge difference. It just depends on what the content is. Usually if I'm using those outside apps, there's some more stuff that I'm trying to put into the video. I'm editing it much more, and there's more back and forth stuff. So, no, I haven't really noticed a whole much of a difference. Of a difference there, no.
What app do you use other than Facebook?
I'll use KindMaster.
I've never heard of that
Yeah,
one.
that's the one I'll usually typically use. I was using CapCut, and then
Yeah.
when TikTok went away, then CapCut went away, so I just said forget it. And,
Okay.
yeah.
Buy American. Is
Yeah,
that what that's
yeah.
what it was. Yeah.
I was happy to see CapCut come back.
Yeah.
I was very upset because I had just renewed my annual
That's right.
subscription.
That's right. I remember you posting something about that. Thanks a lot, TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Facebook is where everything took off, unbeknownst to you. You said at the time, though, you were kind of more focusing on TikTok.
Yeah.
Have you shifted more of your efforts completely to Facebook? I mean, I still, as I'm scrolling through, your videos come up on my TikTok For You page
Yeah.
as I'm going through. So you're still obviously out there on TikTok.
Yep.
Are you, I mean, how much effort and time are you putting into all the different social medias?
Probably about just an equal amount of effort and time. It doesn't take very long for me.
Right.
Like it's a quick joke and a quick edit. So the effort really for the Facebook one is just to edit it there and post the original content on Facebook. But I can download that because Facebook doesn't put a watermark on it. So I can download that and put it on all the other platforms. So I spend, it's probably like 15 minutes every day just making sure everything's posted where it needs to be with the right wording. I use YouTube, and I have a program on there that'll find the best wording for it. Like I can say kind of what I'm thinking I want to word the headline as.
Okay.
And it'll find the best one with the most traction online.
Sure.
So I spend a little bit more time in YouTube just because that's there and
Okay.
available. But yeah, no, every one just gets posted on there, and I spend a lot of time. I answer the comments. I like and I answer the comments.
Yes.
So that's been a really big part of it as well. Is when anybody says anything, I make sure that I at least hit the heart.
Yep.
Or block them because they said something they shouldn't say, or yell back and forth with them for a while because that's kind of fun too.
I do like those posts that you post where you're engaging with, people who are like, I'm sick of seeing your content. And then you're like, well, you follow me, or like.
Well, yeah, if you're sick of seeing my content, stop commenting on it. Because if you're commenting on it, it's going to come back to you more often and it's going to go out to more people. I love that. Like, this is so stupid. You're ruining the world. I said, well, actually, you're ruining the world because if you would have just scrolled right past it, less people would see this.
And now it in turn has created more content
Right.
that you're going to post.
Yep.
To get more engagement.
Yep.
To continue to ruin the world.
Yes.
So to speak.
Exactly. That's why people ask me all the time, like, do you get upset when people are mean to you on there? It's like, no, because comments are traction.
Right.
You can say mean things if you want. That's fine. Everybody is going through different stuff, right? And if you need to say a mean thing to me on the internet to make you feel better, fine. But don't be upset when I'm going to come back at you with something snarky and sarcastic. I mean,
Well, and that's the thing too. I think that makes you more relatable. The way that you handle the criticism, I think the way
Well,
that you're
because
handling
it's
it
so
makes
you.
people. Yeah, exactly.
to be fair, I
Yeah.
do cry into my pillow right before I go to sleep for about 45 minutes. I read through all the mean
45
ones.
minutes, wow.
Yeah, and then I cry because I'm ruining the world and I'm not funny. So, yeah. But that's how I get through it,
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you had an instance at all where you're just out in the wild grocery shopping or whatever and somebody recognizes you from the videos?
A couple times, yeah. And I've had people come in and call in to the agency because they knew me from
Really?
the videos. But Steph gets a little bit more recognition when she's out and about. I'll have people send me messages that say, hey, is Steph at Target right now? And I'll
Oh my
text her and be
gosh.
like, Steph, are you at Target? She's like, yeah, why? Like, oh, okay, somebody saw you there. Like, and they're like, oh, I wish I would have went and said hi.
They're too afraid
Too
to say
afraid,
hi.
that's it.
Yeah. You have a fan.
Celebrity
Yeah,
status.
Steph's probably just like buying socks, so it's like
Right.
whatever. But,
Yeah.
But yeah, not a whole lot. I mean, people will say like, "Oh, I see your videos, I like them," and I think that's great because it's kind of like that. It's a digital billboard,
Yeah.
Right.
That I don't have to pay $700 for, like the Nicolay guy with his crappy beard.
So have
Far
have
worse
you
beard.
Far worse.
have you
Scraggly.
actually gotten business from it then?
Yeah, yeah, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard to track for sure, but I mean, I can think of off the top of my head 3 or 4 clients that are specifically from doing the videos, or that they saw me out and said, "Oh, I love your videos. I gotta get a hold of you." But I'm sure it helps. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
I wonder if it kind of cross pollinates the other way too. Like, hey, that's my insurance guy.
Yeah.
Did you see him? Oh, like check my insurance guy out. Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
he has this pretty funny series, you know. So,
Well, I tell
think so.
people about it all the time.
Thank you.
yeah.
I hope so. I mean, I don't think I'm getting any of the haters. They're not calling, you know. But,
Well, good.
Well,
You
mean,
attract the people
I'll
you
still
want to do
take their
business
money.
with, right?
I mean, that's fine. I'll still take their money. But tell me I'm dumb. That's fine.
I actually have I have a chamber question for you guys.
Okay.
So, are you guys ready for a couple chamber questions?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I figure I have 2 chamber ambassadors here, right?
Yeah.
So, can you guys tell me, as far as being Oshkosh Chamber ambassadors, what's the most rewarding thing that you can point your finger at that being an ambassador really gives to you? Because I see, like, when I go to events, you guys obviously are like happy to be there. Like, you're not miserable. You're smiling. You're having a good time with people.
We have to smile. Connie yells at us if we don't. She gets real mean
They give
about
us
it.
free beer at most
Yeah.
events.
Oh, the free beer.
That's the way to
free
go.
beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about
No.
that preschool opening with the free beer?
Well, I mean, you never know.
Okay.
Most of the teachers had a little bit of something. Yeah.
I, makes sense.
There's there's water in there.
Yeah.
No, honestly, a big thing for me, and I think Justin feels this way too, but I feel like I'm just there hanging out with my friends because all of us ambassadors really get along really well. And even a lot of the people that come into the events, like, we've been doing this for
Forever.
8, 9, 10 years,
Yeah.
something like that. So most of the people coming in recognize us and know who we are, and it's nice to see those people, you know, coming in and having good conversations. You get to see them once, twice a month. You know, it's not like an everyday thing, but like with Justin, and then we have a few others that we actually hang out quite often outside of chamber stuff. So it's not like it's doing any work or anything like that. It's just there hanging out with my friends, being me, and hopefully getting some business from it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'd echo that. I'd also, I mean, it is still also kind of cool to like have the first in on the new businesses that are coming too. So like,
Yeah,
it's nice to be
definitely.
that one of those people in the know that somebody will, I'll get texts that'll be like, oh, you do chamber stuff. Like, what's going in over here?
Yep.
And I'll be able to answer once I ask Connie.
Yes, I know that. For one
Yeah,
second.
hang on.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
It's nice to be like at a family function and people are asking me like what's going on in the city, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is coming and this is coming and this is being built here and this is gonna happen, and everybody thinks that I'm really smart and really got my
You just pay
hand
attention.
on what's going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Awesome. All right, Justin. Well, thank you so much. If people need to get in contact with you, Justin, what's the best phone number to reach you at?
920-718-0163, or they can go to schmickagency.com and fill out a contact form, or they can email me at justin@schmickagency.com.
Perfect.
perfect.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.